Cool.
Yay. Good
Hi,
afternoon,
Sam.
everybody. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our LinkedIn Live today, which is an interview. We're going to have a chat with Neil O'Brien, who is a mastermind guru, actually, I would say, but you wouldn't like me to say that. I know that. But definitely, we're going to be talking about the power of sharing your knowledge. So Neil, tell everyone a little bit about yourself, first of all.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you very much for having me on, and thanks. You've given me the moniker of mastermind guru, and actually, I'm quite happy with that because it is a real passion of mine, and I love the mastermind format. And we set up a group together, and I've been running them for the last 8 years. And I might actually go back a bit. I did a post this morning, which thanks for prompting from you. I've got goes right back to this growing village in Cork, a small village, and what I remember is that there was always people calling night or day. There was always people calling to the house and to the door and answered. It often seemed to be older people, so it could be a couple, always seemed to be in their 60s. But I would bring them in and bring them down, be brought down to the good room.
Oh, the good room. The parlor, yeah.
Visitors. So my dad would sit down with them, and then my mum was always baking, so they probably got tea and soda bread or whatever. Like my dad, and even though we weren't in a good sense of what was going on, like if I answered the door, these people always seem to have a big government form. So I think what happened is that people had got a form. Now, as you know, in Ireland, people get a state 5. So big form, 20 or 30 pages in the post. So why were they coming to my dad? Now, you must remember, this is back in the 70s. So already grown up in the 90s. It was large families. And quite often people leave school at 12. Their children want to support the rest of the family, working on a farm or working in a factory or so on. And so my dad was, and all his brothers were fortunate because they got a education until they were 18. So in our locality, in us around, people saw my dad educated man. So when people had these forms, imagine now someone leaving school at 12 and getting one of these forms in the post to finish. I mean,
even now,
right? Yes.
Even now, come on. It's like
my dad would sit down with them, man, and he would. I know he'd go through every single box. You'd have to, even if it wasn't relevant, you'd have to cross it out. And so this meant that these people are comfortably. No payment for it. Somebody might arrive with a big bag, or be like, you get a bag of apples, or thankfully didn't arrive with a side of meat or anything, but it was. But I grew up watching. I'm running mastermind groups, and like group is a bit like all these different people coming in, and they all knowledge, and the group are learning. I made that connection. I remember I had to stop. I mean, this guy who models growing up was my role model because I saw him helping people, and I'd never made very moment. A bit sad in a way because my dad had died a few years earlier, so I never got a chance to tell him because I'd never made a connection. So watching my dad in the village, that was his role. Now, if he wanted a wall built, he went to Mick up the road, or up the road from us, there was a plumber, an electrician, a barber, so do that. But my dad could help anybody who had a government form from a solicitor. They would put it aside, and then on a Saturday evening, thing. So that I love masterminds, and it's a bit like that village. Everybody has something to contribute. We can all learn from each other and help each other, and that's what the mastermind is about.
Absolutely. And I love, and I know you and I connected, and you mentioned this to me years ago about doing a mastermind. And I was a little bit,
Yeah.
I don't know if I was wary or I wasn't sure about it. But now that we're doing one together now, you and I, so if anyone's listening or watching, we have 34 people watching at the moment. So very welcome. Anybody has a question, please ask us in the comments and I will get it up on the screen for you. But yeah, we started doing a mastermind, and it's so powerful because you're
Mm.
right. It is like a community of people where we can help each other, look after each other, like that old style community you were speaking about. And
Mm.
it's about also making sure we all succeed together. So it's not about me and it's not about you. It's about the group, and even people. I'm learning something from other people in the group as well, which is really
Mm.
powerful.
Yeah.
So
And like, yeah, sorry.
there's a bit of a delay. I don't know if it's the Wi-Fi or what, but yeah.
You know what? And I just to explain too, I'm in Kerry because I'm 2 weeks. I'm looking out at the Blasco with Ireland. They have 5 hens on 4 acres. So I'm minding,
Oh my gosh.
but the Wi might be a little bit hit and miss.
Oh no, it's great. And you know what? I actually saw a video there day before yesterday of the Blasket Islands, the people that live in the Blasket Islands that were showing a video of the storm over there. So it's
Yeah.
absolutely beautiful. Yeah. So back to the power of sharing your knowledge, though. I mean, really, I always say to people as well, if you want to raise your profile online and you want to get people to engage with you, start sharing your knowledge. And people, I think, sometimes are afraid to share what they know because, oh, I don't want to, who'll hire me now if I share my knowledge. But like when you share your knowledge, people can see that you know your stuff. So tell me a little bit more about, your first mastermind. You have a great story about the first one that you went into yourself.
Yeah, that's right, Sam. And you think what you just said there a moment ago about a few years ago, and you thought about it, but you hadn't run a mastermind or attended one, so it's difficult to start attended one. I
Yeah.
was the same about 10 years ago. I tried getting one up and running. I had about 8 or 9 people interested, but it was a bit like the blind, okay, because I knew how it was going to. So, and it was a sizable investment. No, it was about 20 grand a year. But I took the plunge. I joined meet 2 days every quarter, and then we'd meet on Zoom the other months. So it was, I totally loved it. And then once I knew how that group worked, but there was a bit of interesting story behind that though, because at the time, the only masterminds I knew were you'd meet for 2 days. So 2 days in a hotel for 2 days. And kind of from my clients, and I was kind of going, I wanted to start a mastermind group, but I wasn't sure. And storm is in my group. This guy said, well, try. And I was kind of going, oh my God, I would never have been a brainstorming session. For half, like 8 years later, that group is still going, and 4 members group are still in the group. They come back every month, and that'll just show you the power of the mastermind and the value people get, because they keep coming back. I wonder, but then I think the reason they keep coming back, there's 2 main reasons, right? I mean, it's great to keep coming back, but there's 2 main reasons I think, Sam. One,
Yes.
in the group, who Friday, I'm always asking them for the next, who do you want? I love that person. Like, they want AI,
Yeah.
we've covered AI. Topical is huge, isn't it? Nobody else on AI, so I'm going to get someone else on AI again. And they tell me who they want, and I'll go get them. And the other thing is that people get a hot seat every month, so they can bring along whatever challenge they have, whether it's people or pricing, launching a new service. You know yourself, we're never short of challenge in business.
Yeah.
Throw it out to the group, and ideas, the group with fresh actions to take, come back the next month, and they have to update those actions. So there's a nice bit of accountability, because we all know John, on to launch that new service last see, how did you get on? And people don't like making excuses, so the accountability is great.
Yeah, we got a comment actually, Neil, that the stream isn't very good for you, Neil, because the Wi-Fi is not very good. But look, so what we might do is we might do this again, but definitely, like if anyone can still see us or you want us to continue, please let us know. But if you think it's not good enough quality for you to understand what Neil is saying, he's basically talking about masterminds and his own story about how he started masterminds groups. So
yeah.
Myself and Neil run a mastermind group as well. So if anyone's interested, definitely message myself or Neil. And I agree about the guest speaker. So if you get a guest speaker in, like I am not an expert, let's say in AI, or I'm not an expert in accounting or pricing, for example. So it's nice to be able to get guests in as well. And we can do that because we know who the people are that could actually share that knowledge. So I think it's really powerful to get guests in. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a whole, I mean, even within very strong in LinkedIn pricing, like you know, Louise is very strong, and certainly we've seen Louise with her brilliant challenges and so
on. With Anita.
So we can all learn from each other as well. But you're right, the guest speakers are huge. I mean, I have a whole team of guest speakers that I've introduced to my other mastermind with our group as well, Sam. As we go along, we can be asking them what, bringing in some of those speakers on AI or whatever topics that they'd like to see covered.
Brilliant. Well, look, I think we should wrap this up only because of the fact that I also have your dogs.
Apologies.
We'll do it. We've got better Wi-Fi. We'll do it again for sure. But it just shows you. It just shows you folks the power of live streaming if you have the good Wi-Fi, obviously, and that's why Virgin Media Business join the Backing Business community. It's free. Just go to the Virgin Media Business. Just Google Backing Business community. Definitely join it. It's free because the Wi-Fi, you see the difference it makes if you want to live stream, and live streaming is so powerful. We've 71 people watching this at the moment. So thank you so much, everybody who's tuned in. But we will do this and revisit. So thank you so much.
Do it again, Sam. And thanks.
You're welcome. Let's